My name is Gabriel Larson, and I am doing the video for pasture analysis. We're going to do this in the yard today, as I don't have access to pasture, and the weather is not cooperated until basically today. So we're going to cover, so far to begin, we're going to cover average length, and I created this on the stick I'm going to use, where I have at the end a 1 inch marking here on this side of each piece of the tape, 3 inches, 5 inches, 7 inches, and 1 foot. And what I'm going to do is just collect average length. As you can see, it's very manicured, so we're probably going to end up pretty even. There is some areas here that you can see where those are going to end up being a little bit longer that were missed. So when I do incorporate, I will likely end up seeing some patches of some a little bit longer grass that we can talk about. So we'll go ahead and just start with 25 points of grabbing length at this point. I'm gonna call that 3. Call that 3. We're going to call that 2. Three. 3. 4. Must be a hole there or something. 3. 4. There's a sward there that was touching a little bit higher than the 3 inch mark. 3. 2.5. 2.5. 3. 3. 3. That one's a 4. 3. You can see here this is a little bit lower of a hole, but that one's going to be closer to that 7 mark. That one's going to be closer to 5. Anyway, we have some holes back here. 3. 3. 3. Right here, I meant to put it down, but there's a bare dirt, so we're going to do 0. 3. 3. 3. 4. 4. 3. That is 3. So we are going to do now is add everything up. You can see I just calculated all my numbers here, so we're going to add most of them up. Division 79 divided by 25, because there were 25 steps that we did. The average was 3.16 inches. Average length of the entire pasture. Next, we're going to do a 25 step analysis of basically what the average makeup of the pasture is. So whether it's grass, whether it's weeds, whether it's bare grounds or other or something else, some sort of object. So we're going to start that process now. Grass. Go ahead and pause it. Grass. 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 And the goal here is this goes down until it touches. The very first thing it touches is what we're marking down. It's not going all the way to the ground like the last one did in measuring the overall length. Grass. 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 Weed. Grass. 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 Wheat. There's a clover it hit, so that's going to be a weed. I count it as a weed in this aspect of pasture. Grass. Oops. Grass. 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 and grass. Okay, so now we're gonna run our own calculations on the average. We only had grasses and weeds, but there were some holes, a little bit of bare ground, very, very minimal in this. And then others, there weren't any other objects in the realm of what the pasture was happening, nothing that I would consider other at this time. So we're gonna go 3 divided by 25 would be 12%, so 12% of the pasture was weed, and that would be 22 divided by 25 would be 88%, which we could have done standard deduction, but I would do it for all the categories that way. So go ahead and walk with me. Basically, what it looks like is, you can see here, that we've got the grass column with 88%, the weed column 12%, bare ground, nothing, other, nothing, and then all of our calculations I checked off for sward length on average as well for the 25 swards that we checked. So now we're going to come over here and answer some other questions. 3 different types of grasses, and it looks like one of mine has blown away, but I set these aside. This is Kentucky bluegrass, that I think it is from how it's growing here. You can tell because there's a vein all the way down the center of this sward, and it is a little bit darker than all of the other grasses out there. I pulled it from a patch of very dark out here, so you can kind of see that it's probably Kentucky bluegrass that way. This is what I believe to be tall fescue that's growing in the middle of my yard. You can see that it's got many different veins across it. It's much darker, it's much tougher, probably really high in fiber or NDF from what we've learned throughout this course. So this is what I would say is tall fescue. And then my missing one, if you look at the overall grass, there's going to be some shinier spots. That's ryegrass. So you can see it kind of fades over there. That's not going to be ryegrass. But then after that, it's a little bit shinier, glossier. So one of the characteristics of ryegrass that you can look at is if you pull it out and you look at the actual swards, if you notice in the light, you're not going to be able to on camera, but both the top and the underside are glossy, like this one right here. You can kind of see it glossing and it's shiny. So I would consider this ryegrass. Those are the 3 types of grasses. And then this is a weed I pulled out of the yard, which is very common in a lot of pastures around here too. I see it all the time. It's a dandelion. It's got other, obviously, scientific names for it, but this is exactly what it looks like, and it grows tall with a flower in the center of it. I don't see any actual flowers, so I've done a good job at keeping them down in the yard. But the flower will sit about this tall, and it's yellow. We called them buttercups growing up, but they're from the dandelion family. Let me look at my other question. The final question to answer here is making a recommendation for the pasture, if I would have horses on this or not. My answer is actually no. From what I understand, based on the pasture, is you want to start pulling horses off or rotating them when they hit about 3 inches. And we only had, out of all these numbers, we only had, 3-4 times maybe that were over 3 inches. And it's just not enough for me to consider putting an animal on it. After it hits 5 inches, I would consider putting an animal on it while obviously the rest of the pasture is growing as much as it can while having a horse grazing. But because it's at an average of 3.16 or 3.13, whatever that was, that calculation, I would say this is not good to have a horse on it right now. My recommendation would be to make it grow until at least 5.